welcome to another episode of T's Talk Time. I'm your host, Teresa Smith, and today's episode will be entitled Motherhood. Dictionaries define motherhood as the kinship between an offspring and a mother, relatedness to this offspring, or connection to this offspring by blood or marriage or adoption. I say that it is an incredible journey you encounter when you conceive a child. This journey is like no other. I feel it begins as soon as you know the child has been conceived and is in your womb, especially when you are a biological mother. Others embark upon this journey through the process of adoption or by marrying someone who already has children. Sometimes they become a surrogate of sorts to their nieces, nephews, or even their students if someone is a teacher. Either way, when you embark upon this journey, you become more alive, enchanted, invigorated, mesmerized, wise, exhausted, emotional, purposeful, and connected to these little people who grow so amazingly into adults themselves. And guess what? The journey never ends. Today, I'm so honored and thrilled to have my niece, Lauren Crockett, join me for an interview about this topic. She has just become a mother to an adorable baby girl named Scarlett. So stay tuned. And that was Scarlett. And now I'm here with her mom, Lauren Crockett. Hello, Mrs. Lauren Crockett, or should I call you Lauren?
Hello there. Of course you can call me Lauren. So happy to be part of the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. So let's go on straight into some questioning here about your newest experience. So when did you exactly join the exclusive VIP group better known as Mothers?
My daughter Scarlett blessed me with the opportunity of becoming a mother on December 8th of last year, which makes her a little over 4 months now.
Wow. So how does it feel to be a part of this royal family? As you know, we mothers are queens.
So many words come to mind when you ask that question. I'm absolutely, without any doubt, grateful and honored to be a mother. There are not enough words to describe the love that I feel for this little girl. I saw a quote one day that really describes how I feel in regards to being a mother. The quote is, "If I were to define motherhood, I would have defined it as love in its purest form, unconditional love." I can relate to it so much.
Wow, that is profound. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey, without giving too much information? Like what I really want to know is, what was your reaction when you first found out that you were pregnant with Scarlett?
Okay, sure. So I got married in the summer of 2018 to my husband, BJ. Shout out to hubby, woot woot. Ever since that day, I have been asked the repeated questions of, when are you having a baby? Are you pregnant yet? What about now? I even got the question of, don't you want a baby? The pressure of having a child after getting married is ridiculous. It's funny because before getting married, everyone wanted you to avoid a baby. It's always a baby can wait, finish school, make sure you have a good job, yada, yada, yada. But once that ring hits your finger and those marriage papers are signed, it automatically shifts to, where is that precious baby? And I get it. I will most likely be like that with my daughter as well. But it becomes a pressure that not many discuss. I didn't only get that pressure from my family, but my husband started to ask too. Actually, it wasn't really a question for him. He was like, it's time now, come on. And honestly, in my opinion, it was time. I have multiple degrees. I have a successful career, financially stable enough, and now I could add married to the list. And most importantly, I was mentally stable to care for a child. So my husband and I began to try, and within a few months, I found out I was pregnant. Because I was actively trying, I would start testing fairly soon. I ordered a bunch of cheap pregnancy tests off Amazon. They are the ones that the clinics use. So every month when my period was supposed to come, it came like clockwork. I would take a test and see if we had a positive result. It took a few months, and then I finally got the test everyone was waiting for.
Aww. So once you were pregnant, did you have morning sickness like some mothers do?
Oh yes, my morning sickness was so bad. As you know, morning sickness can be any time of the day, and mine would strike morning, noon, and night for the entire first trimester. I was living off of crackers and ginger ale. At work, I would snack on my crackers and I would drink ginger tea. And I remember one of my coworkers always making jokes about it. He would say, I'm a 90-year-old woman, so loving that combination. Little did he know I had no choice. It was the only thing I could keep down at the time.
Wow. So later, after that trimester, did you begin to have a lot of cravings like lots of people have?
Well, surprisingly, my main craving throughout the entire pregnancy was avocados. I would eat avocado rolls and guacamole all the time. It was all I could think about. I wonder if Scarlett is going to like it when she's finally able to eat salad. She's probably used to the taste by now.
Oh, that's funny. I remember when I was pregnant, I would crave pork chops, which is not good for you at all. And my dad used to make them for me, and he would put vinegar and chopped onions on it, and that was my favorite craving. I know it was a bad thing, but it was a good thing at the time. So, how did you feel when you saw and felt Scarlett moving inside your tummy for the first time?
Oh my God, to see a living being inside of you is so amazing. I mean, hearing the heartbeat, which was just a small dot on the screen to me, was so refreshing. It's one thing to get a positive test, but to hear the heartbeat is music to your ears. I mean, honestly, Teresa, it was like the best way I can describe it is as a child on Christmas morning. Let me set the scene. Waiting for Christmas Day to come as a child is the most exciting time in a child's life. Well, let me speak for myself. I will look forward to that day probably more than my birthday. I was able to create a list of items that I wanted. I believe it was 5 to 10 things. And I even would cut out pictures of what I wanted from the big Toys R Us book from back in the day and then leave it on the fridge for my parents. Granted, I didn't get everything I asked for. Let's not get it twisted. But just wondering what on the list I did get as a child was enough. So the feeling of rushing to the living room and seeing that doll that I asked for or that special toy, that's the feeling I got when seeing her on that sonogram. Or looking at my stomach move, that same feeling of excitement, that is how I felt.
Wow. Wow. So, in retrospect now, do you feel like the pregnancy was anything like what you expected it to be? You know, as we grow up and as we're young children, girls usually fantasize about what it's going to be like on their wedding day and what it's going to be like to have your very own child or even to have a little baby within your tummy. So, was your pregnancy anything like you expected it to be?
Well, you know what? I mean, the only perception I had was from the movies and from people that I have seen in my personal life. But everyone I've seen pregnant, you being one of them always, looks so beautiful. I mean, the glow. I expected to have this glow always. I thought I would just wake up flawless and people would be like, you're pregnant? No way. You look good, girl. And that wasn't it. That was barely it.
Well, you know what? You were beautiful. Whether you knew it or not, you were beautiful. And they always say, when you're having a girl, you look one way. When you're having a boy, you look another way. But all of it is beautiful because it's just the signs of motherhood. We put
Right.
on a little weight, we get bloated, we may get a pimple or two. Different things
Or
happen.
10.
But it's all beautiful. Such a
Yeah.
beautiful experience. So, how did you prepare for Scarlett's arrival?
My husband and I, we actually prepared by actually taking Lamaze classes. It was something that I thought would be beneficial as new parents. I mean, granted, I had some experience because I helped my sister when my nephew was born and for many years after his birth. So I did recall some things I helped with back then, but that was over 10 years ago. I also know that 10 years ago I was in my early 20s, and I know I didn't do as much as an auntie that I would be doing as a mother of my own child. Maybe close, but not the same. Lamaze taught us a lot, actually, that helped me with labor. Breathing techniques actually worked until it didn't. Meaning when it's time to go to the hospital, you will know. And then that stuff goes out the window. We also had a baby shower that was hosted by my mom and dad, where many of my friends and family gave gifts to help with the arrival of Scarlett. It truly helped, and I am so grateful for every last person that contributed and supported us through that. It helps a lot.
Wow. So, was her actual birth anything like you imagined it would be?
Well, the birth was nothing like I imagined it to be. Nothing prepares you for the birth process since everyone is so different. For months, I was told about other women's journeys and the pain they went through or how fast their labor was. Or I was told not to get the epidural. Some people said I should. I mean, the advice that is given to a pregnant woman, it becomes too much at times. I even watched movies and YouTube blogs of other women's birth stories, but my birth story was my own experience as well. I was a week overdue and was actually scheduled to be induced the day after I finally went into labor. So I went into labor on a Sunday morning with a scheduled induction for the following Monday. That Saturday night, I tried everything you could think of. I mean, everything, because I didn't want to be induced. And finally, around 12 a.m. Sunday morning, I started feeling contractions, but they were mild. I tried to do what I learned in Lamaze class by timing them, but by 2 a.m., that was enough. I told my husband, let's go. He said, what if they send you home? I said, let's go now. And we were on our way. It worked out well because since it was the middle of the night, there was no traffic, and our 30 to 45-minute drive to the hospital turned into a 15-minute one. Now, that could have been because of the no traffic or because of my husband's nerves. Maybe he was speeding. I wasn't paying attention at that point. Labor was long. I was given medicine and was watched closely because, believe it or not, even though she was a week late, she still didn't want to come out. She was comfortable and wanted to stay in there forever if she could, and I can't blame her. The doctor, the doctor actually had to break my water. I did have the epidural and still was uncomfortable at times. One of my legs felt completely like dead weight while the other one felt fine. I was just ready. They don't let you eat, so I was surviving off of ice chips. I was ready for some real food. But when it was time to push, I was ready, exhausted but completely ready. I remember the nurses and doctors would say, let's push when you're ready. And I started saying, I'm ready. Shortly after every push, I started to say, when I'm ready, it's been 15 hours. I've been ready for 15 hours.
Wow. So, how did you feel the first time you saw Scarlett's face?
When I saw Scarlett's face, I felt a wave of emotions. For one, I was relieved. I was in labor for 15 hours. I mean, I was pregnant for 41 weeks since I went past my due date, but I felt like I was in labor forever, too. That's how it felt. But when I saw her, I just fell in love, completely in love. It was like meeting my heart outside of my body. I never felt that way before in my entire life. I just knew at that moment that I would love her forever.
Oh, how beautifully put. Oh my goodness. Um, so what has your journey into motherhood been like since Scarlett arrived?
Motherhood thus far has been quite the experience. I have learned so much, and she's only at the 4-month mark of her being on this earth. But I think motherhood starts before the baby is born. I think once I found out I was pregnant, my mind went into mommy mode. I learned something new every single day, whether it's about her and her development or simply about myself. I learned that my needs can come second. When she wakes up in the middle of the night and wants to eat, I don't think twice about my sleep. I hop up and do what I'm supposed to do. I really think having a baby changed me. My focus has become my daughter and how to make sure she's comfortable. I'm so interested in her development. It's all about her now, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, I think you've answered maybe some of the next questions that I've had already. Um, but I'm going to ask one of them. What are the most difficult things about being a new mom?
I think the most difficult thing about being a mom is wondering if you're doing it right, especially being a new mom. It's like I want to be the best I can be, not mediocre, not close, the absolute best. There are times with a newborn, and I know you will remember this, where they will cry and you have to figure out what they want.
Yes.
Now I have that down pat, but that first month, oh man, I was like, what is wrong? But it's important to remember that just like I'm a new mom, she's new to the world. She's used to being inside a tight place that's warm and sounds muffled. She's used to being in my womb, so she might have just been crying because she wanted to be near me. Maybe she wanted to be on my chest to hear my heartbeat. I think at times it could be overwhelming also because your life is forever changed. You will have to learn how to love wholeheartedly. You will have to realize that there is someone depending on you, and that little person deserves every single part of you.
And again, I really feel like you've answered this, but in your opinion, what are the best things about being a new mom?
The best things, I could go on for days at a time, honestly. Let me see if I can break it down without taking up this whole day of your interview. Seeing that smile, hearing the cooing, the giggles, even before she could do those things. I mean, just seeing her breathe. Still to this day, I will wake up in the middle of the night and just watch her breathe. It's just so amazing to me because I remember when she was just a thought, and now she's here in the flesh. I love seeing her discover new things. Most recently, she has learned to take her pacifier out of her mouth. It's cute until she cries because it's out of her mouth and I'm taking too long to put it back in.
Oh. So, which moments are you now eagerly awaiting to experience with your new baby girl?
Well, I look forward to her doing all new things. I love seeing her personality develop. I can't wait to see her facial expression when she says her first words, even though me and you both know she can talk. We've witnessed it. I am looking forward to her first mama or dada. I'm looking forward to her crawling, then walking, her first birthday. Who am I kidding? All of her birthdays. Her first day, her first day of school, her first graduation. Simply, I'm looking forward to every single day of her life.
And that's what I think is so special about being a mom. I feel that, especially your first time around, it gives you a chance to see the world through your child's eyes over again. You sort of revert, you forget how you learned to talk, how you learned to walk, how you learned to read, but you get to see it actually happen. You get to see this whole developmental miracle take place right before your eyes again, and you actually kind of experience it with them. You're kind of seeing the world. You see the world from their eyes. It's almost like you're kind of reborn, in my opinion, through your child. You see,
wow, that's true.
You kind of see
that's
what they see. You see what's harmful for them, so you move it out the way. You know what I mean? You see what's warm and fuzzy, so you bring it closer to them. You kind of get to experience the world over again from the beginning. And that's what I really loved about it when I had my child for the first time when I had him. So from what I can see, and well, I've already seen, viewers know this, and listeners know this. I'm thinking I'm on a vlog now. You hear me, but they can't hear me, but they can't see me, but they can hear me. So I've already seen how well you take care of Scarlett. So I can say without hesitation that you are an awesome mom. You
Thank
keep
you.
you keep her dressed so beautifully. And I always tell you how Scarlett should have her own Instagram page. Hint, 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 hint. And I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you, BJ, and little Scarlett. And I wish you all the best things in life. But
Aw.
one last question. Are you and BJ planning to have more little ones in the future?
Well, we are planning to have at least one more in the future. He wants 5, but that's pushing it. But I can honestly say I would like for her to have a sibling one of these days. Not today, not tomorrow, but it can wait. But one day we definitely would like to add to the family for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Because you've done such beautiful work this time.
Thank you very much.
And so I want to say thanks again, Lauren, for being my guest today. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Remember, you can give me feedback on this episode on any of my social media platforms as well. I welcome all feedback and suggestions for future episodes. So take care, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks again, Lauren.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Stay blessed.
You too.